that when I was first living out here, they were still growing pinto beans in the fields just north of me. Now they're growing houses. So gives you an indication that I've been around here for a while.
Well, you're building one yourself.
That's a different one in town, and I did build my house here, and in fact, Liz's husband helped me build it. So let me go to Rob Wilson.
I'm Rob Wilson. I live here in the Timberline area. I co-chair with Brian. It's been an honor to serve on this committee, and I look forward to getting this wrapped up here soon.
Okay. Dave Browning.
Muted there. Dave Browning moved here in '06 and Doney Park, and we like it, and we'll probably stay here for quite a while longer.
Thank you, Dave. John Ruggles.
John Ruggles here, Planning and Zoning Commissioner, District 2. Been in Arizona, well, more than 51 years now. So that's enough for everybody here, I think.
Thank you, John. Jim Clifford.
Jim Clifford, District 4 Planning and Zoning Commissioner, been in Doney Park for 30 plus years and work at W.L. Gore.
Thank you, Jim. Bernice.
Hey, I'm Bernice Carver. I live out in Doney Park, base of the Turkey Hills, and I've been out in Doney Park for about 43, 44 years now. And I really love it out here. I want to keep it rural, and I want to keep our dark skies, the quiet nights. Just love it out here. Want to continue to live out here. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernice. Liz Baldwin.
Liz Baldwin, nurse practitioner, been in Doney for about 27 years, been on this committee from inception. It's an honor, and I'm learning so much about politics and about rules and about planning and zoning. I feel like the committee has given more to me than I have given to them, but I'm giving my best to fight for Doney.
Thank you, Liz. And Evelyn Wani.
Evelyn Wani, live in Timberline, and I too would like to see it stay rural. Quiet skies. Yeah, right. They make so much noise. Dark skies. I'm tired, and I hope we can get a lot done today.
Thank you, Evelyn. I see that Supervisor Vasquez has joined us. Would you like to share with us, sir?
Sure. Hello, everyone. Jeronimo Vasquez, Supervisor, District 2. I've just been a pleasure being part of this process and listening and growing and understanding the needs of the Doney Park, Fernwood, Timberline area. And I look forward to it being a productive meeting. I did want to let everybody know that I have another engagement at 7. So I will be signing off at 7, but I did want to participate in this first half of the meeting tonight. So thank you, everyone, for all your continued participation.
Thank you, Supervisor Vasquez. Is anyone from Supervisor Begay's office with us this evening? I don't recognize anyone's name, but I could be mistaken. Hearing none, let's move on to public comment. So this is when we will take comments from members of the community who are not on the committee. And if you would like to share with us, please unmute yourself, and you'll have 3 minutes to share your perception. Do we have any comments from the community? Any community member want to share with us? Hearing none, let's move on, please. So the meeting notes from October 21st, our last meeting. You all have had the chance to review them. Do we have any comments or edits to the meeting notes from October 21? Dave Browning is shaking his head.
No, this is Liz.
Thank you, Liz. Any other community committee members have comments?
Nope.
Thank you, Evelyn. So hearing no notes, no revisions or edits, let's move on to our next. So we're gonna review, let's see, how do I do this? Some of our the open house comments, and I want to share first that often with these types of committees, we're all appointed by our respective county supervisors. Each of us are an equal member of this committee, and we're facing a situation in which a committee member has potentially has some ethical conflicts, and we want to share those with you tonight. Basically, what's happened is that this individual has advocated for their position inappropriately and has made public comments that have misrepresented what the committee has done. This tends to undermine the integrity of our process, and it could create some dissent where none actually exist. So this individual has also refused to meet with co-chair Rob Wilson, myself, and county staff to try to resolve it outside of the meeting, but we feel it necessary to bring it to the meeting so that individuals, committee members, know what is happening. And so the committee, now we were looking at going into executive session. However, this committee cannot go into executive session. So this is part of our public effort here. Someone is rattling papers. If you would please mute yourself. Now, for the next several minutes, I'm going to ask for your patience and your quiet. If someone interrupts this process while we're sharing with you, then I'll ask the county staff to mute you. We in the county, we the co-chairs and the county staff will share specifics about what we understand to be potential ethical transgressions. And when completed, we will then ask all of the committee members to share their response, their perceptions. Now, once completed, then well, I'll ask that you raise your hand, and I'll write down your names and then call on you for your comments. Are there any questions from the committee's members? Hearing none, let me go to Rob Wilson first.
Thank you, Brian. So we had an amazing open house, very well attended, and received a lot of comments, over 120 comments at that open house. That was super impressive and very helpful to our process. I was surprised to learn that 40 of those comments came from a single email address. As a result of reviewing the comments that had been received and the inputs that we had received outside of that process, there seemed to be significant similarity between those 40 comments and the ones that we're going to be reviewing a little bit later on from one of the committee members. At our last meeting, I asked if any of the other committee members had submitted comments via this process. I admitted to having done one myself as just kind of a test of the system. Everyone else said no, that they had not. I followed up with Melissa to find out where those 40 comments may have come from, and found out that the email that was submitting them is associated with Bernice. So that raised some questions for us, because that was something that we had agreed as a committee wasn't supposed to happen, that we were going to share and resolve our comments and issues in public forum here at open meetings, and we were going to rely on the general public to provide the comments during the open house so they could be treated with the respect that they were due. So we're now faced with a situation where one of our committee members, after having agreed to the kind of the rules of our conduct at the first couple meetings, has chose to violate those, and is also apparently expressing to people that the rest of the committee is only giving lip service to the survey and the comments, and that actually we're doing something completely different. That kind of subverts our entire process here. It questions the credibility of, or throws questions on the credibility of all of us and the person that's doing it, and is not helpful to this process. So Brian and I, through discussions, have decided that we really need to bring this out. We need to have a conversation about it, and we need to resolve it so that we can carry on in a professional and mutually agreed upon way to successfully complete this task.
Rob, are you finished?
Liz?
Yes?
If you will please hold on. I want to make a
Okay.
few comments. And
Okay.
then
Oh,
I
then
want to allow Bernice to respond.
Okay, because all I want to say, I think this is important. The one thing, and I'm showing my ignorance, is, all right, he's shaking his head. Oh, pardon me, let me bow out.
So Bernice, Rob has done a very good summary. Some other things that I've noticed that have been disconcerting are that you have made some statements earlier in our process that Melissa had not been responding to public comments, particularly about the survey. And that actually is not true. Melissa came back and shared with us that she had responded to all the comments on the survey. And yet you have made comments that she had not completed that. The something else that came up was that you've stated on several times that the committee is not following the results of the survey, that we're not referring to them. And yet I think that we have consistently gone back to them. We have a pretty good grasp of what the survey is telling us. And I understand from Rob, and Rob, correct me if I misstatement, that a neighbor of yours actually shared that Bernice had been talking with them, that we're not looking at the results. And I don't believe that that's true. So the other thing of concern is that Bernice, just recently, you sent a notice to John Paxton and Ariana Contreras of Supervisor Vasquez's office, asking that they send out an announcement of our committee meeting tonight. This is Melissa's job, and I believe Melissa has done an excellent job. We've had high attendance at meetings. The public open house was a huge success, and it's not our place, any of our committees, it's not our place to tell the county staff how to advertise or how to inform the public of when our meetings are. So those are a few of our concerns, and I would like to share that I'm deeply concerned, and I do want to now have Bernice give her some time to respond. Bernice, you may unmute yourself, please.
Am I unmuted now?
Yes.
Okay. I kind of expected this. I had a message the night before you wanted to meet with me at 8:30 in the morning the next day, and I had a big conflict. I have a lot of organizations and projects that I'm involved with right now. I couldn't drop everything to, I didn't feel comfortable talking and having a side meeting with just Brian Bates and Melissa and whoever was, Jason Christelman. I have kind of felt like my comments have been disregarded in prior meetings, and I didn't want to be ganged up on that meeting and have to postpone other projects that I was working on. I mean, I just got notice the night before an 8:30 in the morning meeting. Let's see. I have made statements. We are following the wishes of the people in the October survey, where 86% of the people wanted to keep Doney Park rural. I did hear you, Brian, speak at a meeting, at the public meeting, to a woman that came up to you and asked you if we were following the wishes of the people on the survey, and you said that we've gone over and over them and that we are following them, but the area plan that we're working on now has increased commercial, industrial, multi-unit housing and apartments. I had gone, when we were working on the original draft that we showed at the public house, I had gone back and looked at the area plan for Belmont. And I knew some people that lived out that way that were really upset about all the build out that's out in Belmont. And I read about the survey in Belmont, and the majority of the people favored keeping Belmont rural. And the area plan committee took it upon themselves to go against the wishes of the people on the survey and have a build out Belmont instead. And now they're facing a lot of traffic and problems out there. So I felt like we needed to slow down. We needed to go back. We need to make sure that the voices of the people are heard. Yes, I did let somebody use my email address because they didn't have mail. I talked to several people. I talked to a lot of people about the area plan. I'm trying to get the neighbors informed. And I'm the only one that's been advertising this weekly or it's monthly meeting, or however bi-monthly, whatever they've been, because they've been we've been doing some extra meetings. I've been putting it on nextdoor.com for Doney Park, Timberline, Fernwood areas, and I've been putting it on the Facebook, Everything Doney Park. I put it on the Doney Park Facebook page. And also I put it in the paper. To my knowledge, I'm the only one doing that. I'm trying to get people involved. I'm trying to get perspective. If somebody doesn't have an email address, they can call me. I will type them up a letter. I will send it for them. And, you know, as far as my neighbors go, one of my neighbors did come up and say that he had talked to Melissa and he was concerned about having apartments and multi-unit housing out here. And he said Melissa assured him that that was not the case and that was not going to happen. And that is not how our area plan is written right now. Let's see, what are the other things? You know, that is Melissa's job to advertise this. And when the card went out to us for the meeting, for the public meeting, it contained an incorrect web address for finding the area plan and getting on there and making the comments. I was the one that caught that, and it seemed kind of funny to me that that card went to us and it had a perfect address on it, and then it went to the printer with an incorrect address. I almost felt like we are trying to keep the comments down, or, you know, not letting people know about it. When we had the last zoning ordinance, I was really upset because no one in our area that I know, and I know lots of people because I've been here 43, 44 years, had known that they changed the zoning. And that went against the area plan that was in existence, the 2001 area plan that's in existence now, hasn't changed, but yet they changed the zoning. So that's been sending up red flags for me. So I have been on just working overtime, trying to get people to come to these meetings. I've been trying to get people notified. Like we changed something in the area plan last week and we heard from one, maybe two people, one from Cosnino, and I talked to people that I knew out in Cosnino. I used to live out in Cosnino for many years, and I talked to some people that they want to have some input on negotiating with the train companies to try to keep the noise down, at least at night when they're. And I'm hoping that there's somebody on this meeting tonight from Cosnino, because I had sent her the links to the information. I will. I don't feel like I'm misrepresenting what the committee is doing. I know we all work hard. I know Melissa works hard. I know she's got a lot of projects. I know this isn't her only project. She's got many, many things to do. There have been errors. There was an error in advertising the last meeting. You know, I knew this was coming. Knew it was coming, and I'm glad that I was busy. I think it was a godsend that I couldn't just drop everything and meet with you guys, because maybe it's because I don't know, I felt intimidated. I felt not listened to in past meetings when I tried to bring things up, and I kind of felt like I was being put down because I was a woman, and it's like, okay, thank you, that's enough. And shut down. And I feel like everybody that lives out here and pays taxes, especially the ones that are going to continue to live out here, should have a say in this. There are other things that I wanted to bring up. I wanted to talk about this with everybody listening. I want to keep it rural. There's places in the area plan I'm really concerned about, especially not limiting the size of the commercial growth, not limiting the size of the rural activity centers, not limiting the size of the industrial growth. There's a lot of health and safety factors and water use factors and water availability factors that are really concerning to me. And I think most of the people on the committee feel that way. And, you know, we want to keep this, we've got a real unique situation out here. I've traveled in Utah and Idaho and California and other places where the same thing is going on in other places that used to be beautiful like this. And I visited them, and I had been there before, and it was just overgrowth. And they're having water problems, and people's wells are going dry, and I'm very concerned about it. And they're overtaxing their community services and emergency services and police. And I just want to keep Doney Park rural with planned, smart, keep the dark skies. If we have to limit growth to keep our dark skies, if we have to limit growth to keep our national forest and state lands beautiful and not abused, then I think we need to limit the growth, especially with multi-unit housing.
Thank you, Bernice. Let me respond with a few items. First of all, you were offered, I believe you were offered additional times to meet with us. I know I sent Melissa several dates and times that I could make a meeting.
That was in the last 2 days, and I've got a lot going on. I wasn't going to stop what I was doing and prepare a meeting with you guys, because I wanted it on this meeting. I wanted it open to the public. I wanted people to know how I've been treated.
Let her speak.
No, she has.
There we go. That's how it's been.
Bernice, you were given time to respond. I'm sharing some feedback with you. So I'm not being disrespectful. I listened to what you said. And you said that we're not following the survey.
We are.
If that comes up, and I think we may get the land use tonight, if that comes up, then we'll go back and pull up what the survey is telling us. But I
Well,
think,
I'm really glad to hear that, Brian, because before you told me that we couldn't go back.
no,
And
I
that
think
once it's done and both it's done, we said that in another meeting and it was recorded.
we have gone back and looked at it at different times. And I think most committee members have a very good perception of what the survey is telling us. Now, I will let the other committee members share what they perceive. I'm concerned, you said you let Ben use your computer, but you never identified that you were allowing a friend to use your computer. It was never clear. So
I was the one typing it. I used my email address and he was on the phone.
Okay.
And why am I being grilled about this
Right,
anyway? The rest
okay,
of
let me-
because,
we allowed-
Liz, stop.
You
Liz,
said other people's comments. You said now other people can talk.
Liz.
Okay, talk.
so I'm concerned about that, Bernice, because that was 1/3 of all the comments. We had,
Well, it wasn't
little-
very well advertised that people could get on there and the thing shut
disagree
down
with
early on Eastern time anyway. So some people couldn't even get on.
people were allowed a fair amount of time to respond.
5 days?
So, no, I believe it was longer than that.
Okay,
We
maybe,
said 5 days, but we took comments for much longer than that.
but people thought it was 5 days.
I would have to go back to the record. I don't recall us, I think we said that we wanted their comments within five days. I don't think we said that it was turned off in 5 days.
Hmm.
So, but other things, I admire your tenacity and your wanting to get people involved. What it is largely, what I see from my side is that they're largely comments or people that you're wanting to make sure that we stop the growth that you envision. But I think if you look at the land use plan, that we're actually trying to keep Doney Park rural. I want to keep it rural. I've been out here for almost as long as you have been. And I like it the way it is. I want to keep it there.
And why do you want to put multi-unit housing and apartments in there and expand the commercial?
I
and
don't think,
industrial?
I think you're misreading.
I
the-
don't think so. You want me to read you the section?
Okay, no, not now. When we get to it this evening, we will go through it. But what I want to share with you is that I have a real concern that you have been advertising your position to a lot of people and that you are trying to basically drive the process, not so much as what the survey says or what we're hearing from other committees, but from what you personally want. And that is, in my perception, that's not healthy for this committee.
I feel like I don't want to hide the process. That's why I'm trying to get people
Correct.
involved.
I don't think the process has been hidden at all. I think it's been very open. So what I'd like to do now, and Bernice, I thank you for listening and then responding. What I'd like to do now is to open it up and hear from other committee members. So if you are a committee member and you want to respond, I ask that you raise your hand and I will call on you in order of those raising your hand. And the way you do that
Yes.
is your reactions.
I don't know how to raise my hand. What button do I push, Brian?
Reactions.
Oh,
Okay. Is there any other committee member? Liz? Dave Browning, I see your hand. Go ahead, Dave.
Yes, Bernice,
I'm first.
I have you know, I have an agreement. I agree with a lot of what you would like to have. Unfortunately, what you would like to have are things that this committee does not have the authority to impose. And we can only go within the authority that we have. And that so we can't really make a utopia out of this. We cannot do that. We have to follow the rules that have been laid down by superior organizations such as the county and and the legal stuff. So it just has bothered me how much time has been spent trying to get the committee to do things that are not allowed. And we all have, I think we all have the what we want it to have, but we have to go with rules.
Thank you, Dave. Liz.
Okay, first of all, I want to commend Bernice because I think she's very transparent. She's always been very open. I love that she wanted to get it out to the public because I think she has ways that we didn't think of. And I wanted to also say that I'm sorry to say I felt bad because I thought we were supposed to make and get involved with making comments online. And I was lazy. I said, everyone knows what I stand. I'm not going to do this again. And then when the comments were coming, I actually was surprised. I didn't make a comment, but I thought everyone knew where I stood, but I didn't know we weren't allowed. So I don't know how that passed my ear because I would have broken the law too. I would have written some comments too. I was just lazy and I thought everyone knew what I was saying. And I've been saying for the last year and a half. Also, it's her opinion, and I think that it's good that we have different viewpoints, and I think she's been very polite. And I'm not saying maybe we're just sensitive because sometimes you go, that's enough, but we both tend to talk and perseverate sometimes because it's very passionate to us what we feel and our points. And so sometimes I even feel that way, and I'm a pretty strong talker that I was like, okay, enough, and maybe it is enough. Second of all, thirdly, I also heard you say something, this is about Brian specifically, about I'm not moving Doney Park. And I actually went up to Brian later, and maybe Bernice should have said that. And I said, you little fibber pants, you are. But he said, in my heart, I'm not leaving. So that's the response I got when I heard that you were not moving. But, and then John Paxton, I thought that was no problem contacting him because we are open. And I thought she just had a good idea that he does the neighborhood watch, I think, and that she wanted to make sure he was known to tell other people, whatever committee he's on, just in an open, honest invitation. And I agree, we have to slow down. And sometimes I think that it's good to get a cattle prod on both of us, but sometimes I just don't want to miss the comments that the community's saying. And like that was one of my things I want to definitely put on the agenda. These 2 comments that we got this week, let's put them on. Bernice's comments from months ago that we were going to review, and these 2 people that did it now, and all the ones that sent emails. I think that it's good to have differences, and I think it's good I'm blessed that we actually did it in the front of the public and on a recorded line and when everyone can participate, because I think we all care about this process. And I don't think there's been any backkeeping. And about the side meeting with you guys at the Fort Valley, wherever you're supposed to meet, I was told one time that I shouldn't meet with Bernice and have coffee and talk about this, that we should do it in front of the meeting with everyone. And so we stopped. And I was surprised that, you guys wanted to have a meeting with her because everything's been so encouraged to be open and let's just do it as a team. So I don't know the rationale of why you said you guys should meet and not include us. So I think it was very well a blessing, divine appointment that we did do it this way instead of just doing it back corners. Because then would have felt like, well, what did they talk about that I missed? So I think it was good that all of us are hearing this and we have our comments. So diversity is the spice of life. So different views and different comments, and we all have to applaud each other and support each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz.
I did not know that the meeting was about what you're talking about now. Melissa said that the meeting was about my draft that I rewrote of the land use that made it more in line with the survey. the one where 960 respondents from the county that wasn't even sent to all the owners in the county. In the Doney Park, Timberline, Fernwood area. It wasn't even sent to everybody, but 960 people responded and 86% of them wanted to keep it rural and like it is and don't increase density, commercial or industrial.
And I think Bernice, if you hear what's being said in our review of these different policies, I sincerely believe that's what a lot of us want. A lot of us that are on the committee. I want to
Well,
go
I feel
back.
like I'm being targeted because my ideas are different than development.
Your ideas are welcome. The problem becomes in how you're presenting them, because it's creating a lot of use of time that otherwise, I think a lot of it has been unnecessary.
But some of her points, this is
Wait a
Liz
minute,
again.
Liz.
What?
Liz,
Yes,
I want to come back to a comment that you made. And
yes, sir.
I want to be clear with the committee.
Okay.
When I ran for county supervisor, I lost the primary, and my wife came to me a couple of months later and she says, well, maybe this is when we build our house in town. We bought land in town. We bought property in town 10 years ago. And I made the commitment to her to build a home there as we were older. And I'm following through on that.
I know that.
Doney Park has been my home. I am not leaving it emotionally. And in fact, we're not even sure what we're going to do with this house. I may well stay out here part of the time and be in with my wife in town part of the time. But I am not, what I said to you was that emotionally, this is my home. And I want to be clear about that I'm not abandoning Doney Park. Okay.
I mean, it's your privilege to do that. I mean,
Okay.
it's your privilege. It's your right. You can move and go wherever you like. I'll miss you as a neighbor though.
Thank you, Liz. Let me ask other committee members for their comments. Any other committee members?
Brian, I did raise my hand. I'm not sure if it's showing up.
I didn't see it. Please go ahead, Rob.
Bernice, I appreciate your tenacity, and I especially appreciate your desire to get public comment to this process, because that makes our end result more valuable and more likely to be successful as a result of that. My concern is that rather than getting public comment, you're instead generating public support for a particular position. And we as a committee are tasked with weighing all the different inputs we have from all of the educational meetings we had for over a year, from all of the surveys, from all of the public comments, and from all the comments amongst ourselves, and coming to a conclusion that we as a committee can agree on as a majority is what's best for our community. And when comments and opinions are being, I don't know, subverted and being done in ways that are inconsistent with what we've agreed to, that hurts this process. It doesn't help it. Liz mentioned that if she had not been as lazy as she was, that she too would have broke the law.
I didn't know it was the law. That's what I'm saying. I didn't know that we had agreed on that.
I didn't know that you couldn't do it for someone else either.
I didn't know either.
Have a computer.
So
I didn't say break the law.
Okay.
I didn't say break the law. I said I didn't know we couldn't do it. I didn't say break the law. I said I didn't know we couldn't do it. I'm just correcting what he said, honey.
We weren't told we couldn't do it, and I do it. I did it for somebody.
okay, everybody's done now. So if we don't all play by the same rules, those rules that we all agreed to in the beginning, if we don't all show each other the same respect, then trying to weigh those comments and give them the value that they deserve can't be done. And that's
True.
my concern about this whole process.
True.
The rest of us seem to have been doing things consistent with the agreements we have made as a committee. It appears that in your case, Bernice, your passion has driven you to go beyond that. And that makes our process as a committee, our job as a committee, significantly more difficult.
The things that I wrote in the emails that I sent were notifying people of the meetings. It wasn't telling them, now you say this, now you say that, and it wasn't anything like that. It was letting people know. At one point, I think I said, please pay attention to the policies because the goals and the visions all sound wonderful. They have nice, pleasant writing. It sounds like what we want in the survey.
So-
But then when you get to the policies are what counts, and the policies are what drives the zoning changes. And the policies are, we're being told that our input, we're just a guiding force. Well, we guide the planning and zoning changes. We've got 2 members on the committee that are on the Planning and Zoning Commission that are making these rules, or not rules, that are making these policies. And we also have another person that well, I won't go into that, but
So Bernice, could you share with us then, of these 40 comments, how many of them were your personal thoughts? How many of them belong to someone else?
a lot of the thoughts, I talk to a lot of people. I share my thoughts with everyone. I ask people if they know of the area. I ride my horse around
Can you-
neighborhoods and I talk
Can you
to
answer
people in their
the
front
question
yard.
though? How many of those thoughts were yours? There were 40 comments apparently connected to your
Oh,
email.
those are a conglomerate. A lot of people just kind of hash some things out. And I said, there's a limited time. There's only 5 days to comment on this draft plan that contains a lot of increased density and increased
So,
commercial and increased.
Can you understand how that would
industrial.
create confusion for the rest of us?
Why would you, I think if my comments went along with the development that you want to push through with this plan, I don't think we'd be talking about this now. I think it's because I'm
And
trying to. draw
I respect
attention
your
to it.
opinion, Bernice. I disagree with it, but I respect it. And
My
that's what I
opinion
believe
isn't-
has happened
It's in black
throughout.
and white. It's in the policies.
And I
Bernice, will you
believe
please
that-
allow Rob to respond?
Bernice, I believe that everyone on this committee has done a very good job respecting your opinion. It is a strong opinion. It's been very vocalized. I believe that if you looked at the amount of time that each of our committee members have spent expressing their opinions, you would win the prize. So I don't think anyone has tried to silence you. I don't think anyone has tried to prevent you from sharing what your thoughts are.
Yes, they have.
Unfortunately, it appears that it's just not what the majority of the committee believes. And we agreed at the beginning that there was going to be circumstances where that would occur, and that would be okay.
Well, I took the time to rewrite the land use to make it more enforceable, to make it more
Clear.
consistent with public opinion, or not public opinion, but
Okay.
What the community wants, what the community wanted in the survey. I feel like we're doing the same thing that they did in Belmont. We're paying lip service to these surveys, and then we're not following through with the policies.
And Bernice, your opinion is one opinion of the committee. All of our opinions are of equal value. And if your opinion isn't shared by the majority of the rest of the committee, then the correct response should be that you respect that, not subvert it.
I don't see how I'm subverting it by trying to get more people. I could have been advertising the meeting to people that wanted development. They get their chance to speak too. Everybody that lives out here should know about these meetings.
And-
I'm still irate that the planning and zoning code changed without telling anybody. That
The
was
turnout-
a big deal.
The turnout at our open house tells me that the people in Doney Park are well aware of this process, are paying attention, and are sharing the thoughts that they have on the process.
I think they all got a postcard. That's how they knew about it. And I put that on Facebook and.
But what I'm trying to say is your concern about them not knowing is not validated by the fact that we had such a great showing at the open house and the number of comments that we received from it.
And we had a wonderful presentation that looked beautiful and made it seem like we were going to keep Doney Park like it is. And we told everybody the results of the survey.
And the
that
goal of the
people
members
wanted
of
to
this
keep
committee
it
has
rural.
been to do just that. And
Then
when
why
you
do
tell
we have the
people,
policies for the apartments and the multi-unit housing and the increased commercial and industrial?
Bernice, when you tell people that we are deliberately not doing that, when you talk about your fellow committee members saying that we are deliberately doing something to deceive our friends and our neighbors, and that is your opinion, can you imagine
It's
what's...
not enough to tell them that, and then we did another thing.
All right. Thank you, Bernice.
Policies
I'm done.
don't line up.
Okay, Bernice, I have a question. You said that you were talking to to someone named Ben on the phone. And just a few minutes ago, you said that those comments came from your talking with a lot of people. That
Yes.
doesn't square.
I talk to people all the time about the area plan. Everybody that I
understand
come
that.
into contact with,
But
and I talk to Ben
Bernice,
about the people that I
let me-
talk to.
What I'm saying is that you gave me two different definitions of who.
Oh, come on, Brian.
Come on,
No,
Brian.
Liz, you look at it. She said that she was on the phone and she was typing them up from what Ben said. She then came back and
We were
said it
having a
was from,
discussion okay, I don't remember everything that I talked to everybody about, but I know everything that's in the plan and going line by line. And I knew not very many people were going to know about that. So how many comments were there done that we used my email for? And I
There were
didn't even type
43.
my email. Melissa
Well,
told me
wait a
that I
minute.
could have made
Why
it up in email.
well,
And
then
I
why didn't you put
I
your
had
name on it?
nothing to hide.
Why didn't you put your name on it? Instead of saying Ben, why didn't you say this is from Bernice?
Because it was from other people. It wasn't just from me.
Is
Well,
there a Ben?
I wasn't going to make 50 phone calls.
Is there someone named Ben?
No.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yes. I feel like this is a witch hunt, and I'm the witch.
Right.
No, it's
because
not a
I'm
witch
against
hunt.
development. It is
What
a
we're-
witch hunt. You're trying to get me off the committee so that
no,
you can go
actually-
ahead with the policies in the land use to get the development started and bring in the bulldozers.
Bernice, we're trying to keep things equal amongst all the committee members. And when 43 comments come in from a single email address from a person named Ben, but the email is tied to you, and there's no declaration, there's no statement saying, this is Bernice, I am writing on behalf of Ben and other friends who I have been working with. I mean, why wouldn't you
I wish
share?
I had done that. I wish I had done that, Brian. But
Right,
you know
she
what?
didn't know.
The website wasn't working well. It was like, gosh, we got to do
She didn't
something. This is
know.
our only chance. We only have 5 days. This was the 5th day that we made those comments.
Yeah, I don't think there was any deliberate fault. I think it's ignorance. I think she was ignorant. She didn't know. She didn't know.
That would have been a good idea.
Yeah, it would have been
Yeah.
honest.
Maybe it'd be a better idea to circulate a petition.
Petition for what?
Yeah, I'm curious, Bernice, what kind of petition do we need to circulate?
To keep Doney Park rural and to keep our dark skies and to keep the development low density and reduce commercial and less traffic and less, less.
Okay.
We
Brian, I
have
see Evelyn's
resources
hand
out
is up
here
now,
that
too.
are strained as they are. We do not have enough police and sheriff. I mean, they
Okay.
are strained at the max, and we all know that.
Bernice, I want to go to Melissa and Evelyn. So let me go to
Great.
Melissa
Great.
first, please.
Brian, why don't you let Evelyn go first? Let the committee have their say, and then I'd like to respond.
Okay, thank you. Evelyn.
Thank you, Brian. As a committee member comment, I would just like to say that personally, from what you said at the beginning, I feel it's an insult as a committee member to my character of what has been said about this committee. And as being a member of it, I kind of feel like it's a personal attack on me and to my character. And I just feel kind of sad about it.
I'm unclear on what you're referring to, Evelyn.
Well, that the committee members, that the committee members were not taking the survey seriously.
I did not say that.
Well, no, I mean, from the very beginning, when you were saying about what the committee member Bernice had done, I believe you stated that she had commented or had said to people that the committee isn't always listening to the people or to what the people are wanting from the survey. And I feel that we as a committee have looked a lot at what the people want and are trying to stay within that. And I just feel that if it has been said that the committee is not doing that, I just kind of feel like it's an insult to me. If somebody sees me and here's my name, and I've been saying it here on these Zooms, and they hear my name, they're gonna say, oh, it's possible that, yeah, she was on that committee and she wasn't even listening to the people in their surveys. And I just kind of feel as an insult to my character, because I feel like I am trying to do what the people and the survey said. And I feel like it's just kind of a slap in the face. And that's all I wanted to say as a committee member. Thank you.
Thank you, Evelyn. Melissa, were there other committee members who wanted to comment? John Ruggles.
This case, I got to rebut a couple of things. I don't think any member of this committee is in favor of increased growth development. Second thing is that listening is what all of us have done very thoroughly, but listening does not equate with agreement.
John, let me
Last
ask
thing-
whoever's phone is ringing to please silence their phone.
It's off. I have no control over that.
Oh, okay.
The last thing, references to the update of the zoning code. I participated as a member of the advisory committee for that. Those members were appointed by the Board of Supervisors. They represented people with different interests from all over the county. And one of the things that a number of us drove that got into the code was increased flexibility and taking a lot of what has been done in the past that didn't work right, that got some of the things that we have in Doney Park that this committee would like to stop. The zoning code has been reformed in a number of ways that will prevent a lot of the things that we have heard criticism of. The last thing, I can't let it go about the area plan being one that encourages multifamily housing, more commercial and more industrial. So as someone who's been part of the planning, zoning and land use process on and off over 30 years, I know what the language says. I know what it means. And in no way, in my opinion, does our area plan and the guidance it provides encourage increased density, increased growth, and increased commercial and industrial in the Doney Park area. And that is enough for me.
Thank you, John. let me go to Jim Clifford, please.
I just want to echo what John said. With one other factor in there, for human beings, we all have we all see things in a different way. Two people can read one sentence and get two different ideas out of what that sentence or what that paragraph may have been saying. And then we talk about it. I think that I've been on the committee since its inception. I believe that we are doing a very good job. I'm the type of person that sits back, listens, and then I will comment. But you have to look at the human factor. We are all human beings. We all make mistakes. With that being said, I do not believe we are going to increase density. We are not going to have multifamily homes. We are not going to have a Walmart come out here, a Safeway. You know, somebody brought up the hospital, whatever. That is not what we are putting in this plan. We are keeping it the way it's going to be a rural community. And if somebody looks at it and says, oh, I believe that this is saying I can do a multifamily home, when it's not saying that specifically, I don't know where this is coming from, because it is not in the plan to have multifamily homes or large developments like a Pine Canyon or a Forest Highlands, a high density. This is not in the plan that way. And I just have one question. Bernice keeps on saying that we want to do something for a development. I'm trying to figure out what development is she talking about, because I don't think that anybody on this committee wants to have a development brought in to Doney Park. And that's all the comments that I have. I think we're doing a real good job. It follows all of the county planning and zoning commission codes. And when and if somebody decides that if they have 100 acres and they come to us and say they want to put in a development, they have a DRO that comes in front of us, which is a design review. And we have to approve all of that. And if it doesn't follow what our policies are and follows the guidelines of the county, they're not going to get it. We're not going to approve it. And people don't realize that we spend a lot of time looking at that in the background. We have hundreds of pages of stuff that we have to look through before that is going to be approved. So that's my 2 cents. I think we're doing a real good job. Yes, I think that some of the verbiage could be tweaked a little bit, but that's my opinion. And when we come to those areas, then I will talk on those. But that's where I'm at right now. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Jim.
I would like to read LU 6 that says the development of new multiple family condominiums, duplexes, apartments, townhouses, or mobile home parks projects should not be approved outside of the rural activity centers. And we do not have a provision in there right now to limit the size of the rural activity centers.
Okay, Bernice, one, that LU6 has to be taken in context of the goals and the other statements that preceded. And that's where we're hoping to get to tonight. So I think your point is valid, your concern.
Thank
It's
you.
one point, but we got to look at it in the context. Okay. Let me go to Melissa, please.
Thanks, Brian. And I just want to echo what Jim said. You guys have been doing a fantastic job. And I do appreciate all of Bernice's persistence and her attention to detail. She did catch an error on the noticing card, but I do want to also mention that that was quickly corrected. That error was redirected as as quickly as it was found. But we are human, as Jim said, we do make mistakes. There's no intention not to invite people. We've been doing as much as we possibly can to get the word out. We have an email list built now of over 450 addresses, and that has been organic. It has been created from the get-go of this process. So I just want to assure everybody that we are really doing the best we can to reach out to the entire community and appreciate all the help that you all have been giving us by doing the Facebook posts and things like that. I just want to also mention, in terms of Belmont, very different community. The Belmont survey came up with extremely different results. Belmont was not rural when it began. So, there's a bit of a misperception there, I think. And the thing to the open house, our digital open house, was in addition to our community open house, which is a nice opportunity that we had to utilize a subscription platform that is new to the county. We've been using it for a year or so, and that's not something that we've always had. So we opened that. That was available 24/7 for the entire time it was open. I know, Bernice, you had commented that there was a time zone issue. I am not sure what that was, but there was never a time when that was ever offline while it was open. And it was open for longer than 5 days. I think it was open closer to 10 days. So, I just wanted to make some clarifications. There are more points that I could clarify, but I'm always available if anyone ever has any questions about public outreach. And I am always willing to correct any mistakes that anyone finds. So, but I want to assure everybody, this is a process that we welcome. We want public input. We seek it, realizing these processes are never perfect and they can be messy. It can be difficult conversations, but this is your community, your plan, and we do need to listen to all input here. And I think that this committee has really done an amazing job. You've been incredibly patient with each other and trying to get your perspectives on the book. So, and Brian's point about taking policies in context is extremely important, and to really drill down and understand what they mean. And Bernice, there's a very specific policy in the document that speaks to the size of rural activity centers, and we'll talk about that later. That's all I had to say. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Melissa. So this is a difficult conversation. I spent quite a bit of time thinking about how to approach it and how to manage it. And it's not easy. I do respect what Bernice has done, but I also want to say that I'm concerned about some of the methods that you've used to get your point out, Bernice. My question that I'd like to go forward with is, again, to ask committee members, what do you think we need to do? Where do we go from here? What do we need to do to help bring us back together, to make sure that we are working together to make our committee more effective for the remainder of our time? Rob.
Brian, I'm concerned that about the integrity of those 40 plus comments. We can't attribute them to anyone that we know of in our community. While I appreciate Bernice's persistence at trying to generate thoughts and comments, as I stated in the beginning, a number of the comments that were submitted under the name Ben pretty much match word for word comments that Bernice has made in the document we agreed to review after we get done with these public comments. So that makes me wonder how many of those comments really are independent thoughts from outside of Bernice, people, and how do we properly give the right amount of weight to those comments without being able to answer that question?
Thank you. Very perceptive comment. Other folks, do you have a response for Rob for his concern about the 43 comments that were made under the name of Ben, whom we don't know, and we don't have any way to verify? Anybody want to share with us? Any committee member?
This is Liz, and I think what Rob just said, what you just said, ask Bernice. Bernice is pretty transparent. I thought she said that it was Ben and then other people's comments. I don't know if other people were in the room, but it's Ben. And of course, I think that when you talk to community members, you can't help but kind of sway your opinion of how you think it's going. I always say, come join, listen for yourself. Don't take what I'm saying it's about. But maybe we directly ask her, and if she doesn't feel comfortable to give us an answer tonight, because it is kind of a on-the-spot thing, notice, then we give her a couple days, or we give to the next meeting, and she comes up with how she wants to answer that question. I'm glad that we just did it in a group. I'm so glad this wasn't a side meeting, because then I really would feel. And if maybe Ben did have 40 comments, or maybe he brought in comments from the neighbors, and so he was representing a group. I don't know. Maybe Bernice will shed some light on that if he represents more people.
We discussed a lot, and we discussed what other people had said. And, this is like a diversion. This is like a diversion of what's in that plan that increases density and development. And I feel like, why don't we just look at the comments? Why are we so afraid of looking at something in black and white?
I don't think, John Ruggles, let me go to you, please.
Okay, I think that one of the things that all of us on this committee should be doing as part of the process is reviewing it. Reviewing the comments before we ever get to the point where we're at right now. Without that, it simply delays everything. So if everyone has, and they've had plenty of time to look at these comments, I know I've read every single one of them. It is up to each and every one of us to review those, determine the validity in our own mind, and to go forward with an opinion that is based on exactly that. And the knowledge that we have and have gained as part of this committee should help us form an opinion as to whether those comments are valid, and to look at them and to say, okay, I can see merit in some of the statements, but not all, perhaps. Again, like I said, just listening does not necessarily mean that we agree. And it's up to each and every individual to go forward from that.
John?
Okay.
John, this is Liz. John, can I just ask you to clarify something? Because I love your point, what you said. Let's see if there's merit to it. So you're saying it doesn't matter where the comments came from. Was it all in Bernice's head? Was it just in Ben's head? Was it representing 6 people's head? But let's just see if the comments are valid. Or do we want to decide,
Yeah.
are they valid? Let's go for them. Or do we have to find out, like detectives, who actually said those comments?
Well,
Okay.
regardless
Which
of
one are you saying, John? Clarify that for me.
regardless of who said them,
Okay.
I credit every member of this committee with the intelligence to be able to look at them and say, I see what's going on here. All of these comments look remarkably simple, or similar, or perhaps they don't. And to look at them, as I said, and see if there is a point to be taken from any of them.
Thank you.
All of them. And then form your opinion based on that. Now, I'm going to tell you, we've seen plenty of stuff like this at the Planning and Zoning Commission, and we have developers that and applicants for other projects that will forward a petition, essentially, of 100 people on there because they passed out cards at their place of business that said, hey, respond to this. We want to expand our use. Send this to the Planning and Zoning Commission or Community Development. We had one recently where the comments were coming from all over the United States and Canada. So you look at that and you begin to wonder what's going on here. And I think everyone on this committee has the intelligence to look at this and say, I will make my own evaluation and I can see what's happening here.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Rob, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I guess if Bernice chooses to address the question, I'd like to further clarify what it is. Are any of those 43 comments your personal comments, Bernice, or are they all comments from folks that you acquired as a result of conversations across the board that you chose to use a single name to identify for?
Well, okay, go ahead and finish I'll explain after you.
And the reason I asked that question is because John's point, we have to weigh the value of each of these opinions or these comments. If these comments, Bernice, are from your friends up in Utah who saw excessive development and didn't like it, that has a different weight than it does if it's from our next door neighbor. And because of the way this process has now worked, we don't have any way other than asking you to know whether the person making the comment is you, someone from next door to you, or someone from Utah or New York. And that's why it makes it so difficult to weigh these comments and evaluate what our neighbors, the people that actually live here, really want. One of the ways that we address that weighting is by saying how many of the comments say the same thing. If there's a single comment that says something, then that has a certain weight. If there are 10 comments that say similar things, that has a different weight. And right now, we don't know how to weigh those things and evaluate them fairly. And that's why this has created such a challenge for me.
Thank you, Rob. Evelyn, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I think we're never going to get a clear answer to this problem. And the survey that was taken prior to this whole process when we first got started, I think is pretty consistent with the survey that was taken for the open house and after the open house. So I think since we're probably never going to get a clear answer on this problem, we should remember what the first survey said and move on with that, because this could just go on for hours and we are not going to get any answers. And basically the very first survey kind of told us what the people wanted. And I think in order to keep our sanity, we should just move on. Thank you.
I agree.
So my concern is that Bernice made some very good comments, made some comments on LU on the land use, and she submitted those and her name was attached to it. And now we have 43 comments from Ben that are from her email, but we have no indication of who that individual or individuals are. And so my question is, how, as Rob was saying, you know, there's no way to weigh those. And I think that it presents a problem with our considering them without having some definition of whether or not they're people in our community. And if so, why wouldn't they submit them themselves? They could have gone to a computer at the library. They could have gone to any number of places. But why would Bernice be doing 43 comments for a group of friends as opposed to having those friends submit them individually? That's where I see a discordance.
Why aren't we just addressing the comments?
Because we're trying to maintain the integrity of this process.
Don't, you know, how do we know that? Well, you know, what's done is done, Brian. I liked your idea of me saying, this is, you know, who I've talked to. When I did the land use, when I did the amendments to the land use that I submitted to the committee back in August, I didn't think these were going to be considered because I was told before that we can't go back. And I was really concerned about these, especially as more things became clear to me. I had talked to a lot of people. I mean, I'm not talking a handful, I'm talking to dozens of people about this. I got input from, and these are all residents. They're not from Utah. They're not from New York. They're all Doney Park, Timberline, Fernwood residents. I can't even remember who gave me the idea for what. But it tightened it up. It made it more conservative on development. John Reggles mentioned that about he doesn't want increase. He didn't mean for increased road development, but you know, it's not just road development. It's multi-unit housing and apartments and smaller lot sizes and smaller, higher density and more commercial and more industrial. You know,
Okay,
there's a lot of things that go into that, but you know, I talked to a lot of people. So, you know, the same thing with the land use. It wasn't all me and it wasn't all them. It was us working together and talking about things like members of a community do. You know, we have people, you walk down our street, somebody's out in their yard raking leaves, you talk to them.
so Bernice, why would you have not made that clear in your submission of the comments? Why did you say Ben as opposed to say, this is from Bernice and my conversations with numerous community members?
Because there was no place to put that. I guess I should have put it in the comment box
Well,
with the name. I don't know. I
you
didn't,
put the
you know,
name
I
Ben.
wouldn't put my email address there if I was hiding anything.
Right.
Well, I
I
get
would
that.
have made up one. You know, I mean, their comments are comments. You know, you're attacking people personally for their opinions, but
I am
looking
not
at-
attacking you for your opinion. I am trying to determine what the source, the true source of those comments were, because we had agreed as a committee that we would not be submitting our own comments to the open house.
Yeah,
Now, I do
right, when
want
were
to credit
standing
you,
there.
Bernice, I do want to credit you. You did sign the one on the land use. And that, I think, you know, that we have committed to reviewing. But I still question when 1/3 of the comments are coming from a single email with an unknown author. I'm concerned.
So Brian and committee, so what we're saying is, are we trying to say we're going to void those comments? Or you want it would make everybody feel better? Let's do a vote of that. Do we void those comments or do we think are they valid? And because she didn't say out that she was representing her community, is that what we're trying to get at? You want to take those comments out? I don't understand. We keep on perseverating. Do we want to take them out and then move on? Or do you want to
Liz,
include them, right? Is that
let
what we're
me-
doing? I'm not
let me-
understanding.
Let
Thank
me
you.
respond because you bring up an excellent point.
Right, that's the issue.
It is. Do we consider the 43 comments from Ben coming from Bernice's email? Or do we not consider them? Do we eliminate them? Let me go to Dave Browning and then I'll go to John Ruggles.
Yes, I agree. When you get a bunch of votes in and the votes are all similar or the same, but we don't know where they came from, we don't know. And we don't know if these, how they got into it. But so unless there's, I would say that at least a majority of the comments that are very similar, very the same, should be removed.
Thank you, John. Excuse me. Thank you, Dave. John?
Yeah, I pretty much concur with Dave. I think removal is a little bit of a harsh term to use, but as I said, each one of us has to consider this. And personally, the way I look at it this evening, I have seen, and nothing has been presented that would allow me to place any value on those apparently 40 or 43 comments. In terms of ethics, I do have to say that this is an issue that came up when I first got on the Planning and Zoning Commission. My point of view is the same as that of the American Planning Association on anything that I do as a member of that commission, that whether the law says it's ethical or unethical, it is not a matter of that. Personally, to me, it goes well beyond that. If it has the appearance of being something unethical, then I put myself at risk in terms of future trust by others that I work with on the Planning and Zoning Commission and Community Development and the general public. So any perception of ethical problems, ethical irresponsibility is to be avoided. I've heard nothing this evening that will allow me to accept what is in those 43 comments because they're questionable. And that's it.
Thank you, John. I want to go to a procedural thing here. I'm going to ask Jessica to help me out because Liz brought this up and it's an excellent point. And I'm going to rephrase the question. And the question is, do the members of the committee, do you as an individual member of the committee, do you support keeping the 43 comments from Bernice, or do you feel that we should redact those comments and not have them as part of our consideration? At this point, what I've heard from John Ruggles and Dave Browning is that you support redacting or shall I say remove those comments. Is that accurate?
Yes, you are correct.
Okay, thank you. Let me go down the list that I have here of attendees. Rob Wilson, what is your, what do you say?
I agree with redaction.
Thank you, Rob. Bernice,
I disagree.
thank you. Jim Clifford,
Remove them.
thank you, Jim. Liz,
Well, again, it goes back to Bernice. Do we give her the chance to think about this? Because it, you know, I don't know if you talked to her before this meeting, but was it ethical or was it ignorance? And if it was ignorance, give her time to get her thoughts together, not when everyone's zooming on her. And maybe perhaps she will say, I can tell you who they were from. And you can call them and say, I don't know. I don't know. I did not have this conversation with Bernice to know what Ben was about or who was Ben. But I was the one that raised the question because I think that's what it boils down to. Do we take them off or do we leave them in? And then I also heard people prior saying the comments are a good rapport. They're good comments. And so do we just stack them up and say, well, they are good comments. We'll take it as one comment. But we all know that there are many. So is there a question that we give Bernice time to think about this question? And maybe she can come up with specifics who they were.
I probably couldn't do that.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
I've talked to dozens and dozens of people.
Okay.
And
All
a
right.
lot of those comments, same with the comments that I made in August in
Okay.
the land use. Many of them are in here, but then I had learned and talked to other people so I added them in the comments for that night. We were up against a time crunch. You know,
Okay.
I wasn't going to call everybody and guide them through Conveo because I was having trouble. It was kicking me out and I was having to get back in, and other people were telling me they couldn't even get in at all. That's why I ended up getting on my computer. You know how the Wi-Fi is out here. You know
Right.
how set.
Okay.
So Bernice, but Bernice, wait,
Wait a minute.
Bernice,
I was trying to
This
help
is
the
all
community.
ancillary. This is
Right.
not, this does not address the question.
Why don't we
Liz,
just
what
look
I'm
at the
hearing from
comments and
you,
move on?
okay, so
Liz?
Bernice, it's going to affect my vote, though, Bernice, because if you're saying you can't, and we kind of make this conclusion, because I had neighbors come to me and tell me things, and I wasn't going to write an email for them unless they were present. And they were saying, I want a road from Coachfield all the way to
Hey,
Route
Liz?
66. Oh, no, wait a minute, I'm getting to a point. Since I didn't do that, then I don't think you should do it either. So I'm going to redact and say we
Well, I
can't.
didn't know I shouldn't have done it.
Bernice,
I
because,
didn't know I shouldn't have done it.
okay.
I thought I was helping people, just like when I put the notices in the paper, just like when I put them on the social media. I thought I was helping people communicate their views. Now we're going to have, you know, umpteen, probably more people that aren't going to get their views in, that helped me to write this revision that makes it less density, less commercial, less industrial,
Okay,
and more enforceable.
let me
Gives
complete
the
this
community
process.
more of a
please.
say in
So I
development.
got,
Evelyn Wani. Are you there? Evelyn?
Okay, there it is. Redact,
Remove the comments, keep them, or abstain?
redact, remove.
Okay. So, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people that say to remove the comments and 1 person to say that we keep the comments.
We also need to have you and Rob vote.
Okay, so Rob did vote, and you're correct, Jim. Excuse me, Dave. I did not verbally say, but I am voting to remove the comments.
So can I just confirm we got votes of redacting from everyone except Bernice? Liz, can you confirm that you voted to redact?
yes, I redact if she can't give us specifics. Yeah, yep, yep, yep.
That's what I got.
don't
I
know
agree
what
with you, Brian.
specifics you
Okay.
need. I didn't think I was doing anything wrong by
Well-
helping people voice their opinions. And I feel like this whole process has been, you know, kept quiet and we're not getting enough input. The last area plan, they had several public meetings and more people, you know, they didn't have COVID obviously, but they had lots of public hearings on every section. Public
Okay.
safety, transportation, you know,
Bernice?
land use, they had lots of input and we're not getting that much input.
Bernice, I think we have gotten a lot of input. That's my personal opinion. We disagree. That's okay. But I think that we're at a point now that we've come to the completion of a process. It's 6:30. And I'd like to ask the committee if you'd like to take a break. Before I do that, Dave Browning, you have your hand up.
I was going to say, Bernice, you know, it was a mistake. Clearly, it was a mistake. People make mistakes. So it's not like you did this on purpose.
Right.
But mistakes happen and sometimes you just can't resurrect it.
Thank you, Dave. Rob, you had your hand up.
I was going to suggest exactly what you did, so thank you.
And that is that we go to take a break for.
Take a 10-minute break and get started.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, can I say one last thing? I'd like to say that, so this committee will not consider valid comments that could help this area plan to be more conservative and help keep our rural nature, and because I made a mistake.
But that's not true, Bernice.
No, go ahead, Rob.
Aren't those comments replicated though throughout the other comments, honey? So you'll be heard. The comments are heard.
No, there's others that people have said, but you know, I can bring them up when we go through that, because I've talked
Yeah,
to people
yeah,
out
do
in the
that.
area that asked me to bring this up, and I say, no, the committee, you know, I'm already the black sheep of the family here.
No,
You know,
you're not.
studying development, and you know, I just and you know, it's not just this committee, it's, you know, it's what's going on all over
Okay,
everywhere.
let's stay on track, please.
Okay.
Thank you. So let's take a 10-minute break. It is now 6:35. Let's be back at 6:45, please. Thank you. I have it. This is Brian Bates, co-chair of the Doney Park Fernwood Timberline Long-Term Planning Committee, calling the meeting of November 4th back to order. And I first want to begin by thanking every committee member and community member for your patience, your participation, and your engagement with this process. We've made a tough decision, and I am hopeful that we can move on and work well together. And with that said, we'd like to come to the open house comments. And so we're going to begin with the design review overlay. Is that correct, Melissa?
It is, Brian, and I just wanted to show this slide and make a note that based on the last meeting that we are documenting all of the comments. We are also including on the spreadsheet the timestamp, meaning the time during the video that the comments were made, whether or not a change is made, and then a summary of the reasoning. So just wanted to clarify that for the committee and the public that those comments will be captured that way.
Thank you, Melissa.
If that's Jessica doing that, thanks very much. That's a great resource. Makes it much easier for people to find their comment.
Yes.
Yes. And my thanks to Jessica for all of the documentation you've been doing for us throughout this process.
Absolutely.
Melissa, do you want to take us through the goals and policy?
Excuse me, Brian, can I
yes.
jump in real quick? I'm gonna have to leave, but before I did, I just wanted to thank everybody for participating in this and really understand, respect the process. It is, at times, we don't always agree with things, but we're going through this process. You guys have been working on this really hard. And just know that there are still multiple opportunities for feedback. And if there are concerns, if there are folks that aren't comfortable putting in a Google Doc form survey online, want to make a phone call, do an email, they can reach out to my office. They can reach out to Judy Begay's office. They can reach out to community development. There are multiple ways to put input into this and feedback, community public comment into this process. And as well, when it finally does get approved by this group, it still has to go in front of the Planning and Zoning Committee, which will have an opportunity for public comment. And then it'll go in front of the Board of Supervisors, which will again have another opportunity for public comment. So there's multiple ways to address this issue. And I'm sorry that we as a group have had to go through this. I think it was necessary and to have these conversations. But I just really encourage the group to keep plowing forward. You're so close to the finish line. And I do believe that it hasn't gone too fast, because I think that there's been enough process and communication and discussion about a lot of these points. And I think that the public comments will continue to be, opportunities will be continued to be given to folks. So please, be patient, respect the process, get involved. If there's other people that have concerns, have them email, have them call. If they're not available for Zoom themselves, host them for this meeting so they can have their voices heard. There's so many different ways to get people involved, and it shouldn't fall on the weight of one person or a couple people to be the voice. At some point, if the community wants something and wants public feedback or public voice out there, the community will reach out and give that feedback. So please continue with the process. And again, just thank you for all your hard work, everyone on the committee. I know all of you are doing this with a good heart, and you want to protect your home and the rural nature of the area. And so I don't think there's any maliciousness going on here. I just think there's a little misunderstanding and confusion. Those are those growing pains and those bumps, but we need to get through that and move forward to finish out this plan. So I have to go, but I did want to put in my 2 cents before I left. And again, just say thank you to all of you for participating.
Well, from the committee, we thank you, Supervisor Vasquez.
Yes, Supervisor Vasquez, you summed it up beautifully. People do make mistakes, but we just push through it, and it's painful sometimes. Thank you, sir. That was great.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Brian, this is Judy Begay. I've been listening to the conversation all evening, and I just want to say thank you very much for everyone that's there and trying to talk through an issue that has come or a concern. I think it's going to be a healthy outcome at the end, and there is a process, and that, I just want to say, you are very fortunate as a community to really plan for your future of how you really want to your surroundings and and how your area is going to be. So I just want to thank everyone, for their inputs, and that, we just need to move on and, complete this plan. You're almost down to the tail end of it, and I'm so proud of you guys. And thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Supervisor McGay. Jessica, can I check with you very quickly? Do we have a quorum?
Just checking. We still have a quorum logged in. I don't know if you want to take a verbal call out to see if people are actually back from the break.
No, you just, oh, I see what you're asking. Yeah, let's do that. This is Brian. I see Rob Wilson, Dave Browning, Bernice. Evelyn, are you with us?
Yes,
Thank you. Who else? Jim Clifford.
Yes.
Thank you, Jim. Who else do we have here? That's
Liz?
all I have. That's all I see. So we do have a quorum. Thank you. So let's move on to the, Melissa, are we moving to the design review overlay?
Yes, let me get that document up. Hold on a second.
Thank you.
Okay. And so can you see the screen? Does it need to be larger? Is it okay in terms of size?
Could you make it a little bit larger for me because I'm on a small screen?
Yep. Oops.
That's too large.
How's that?
That's good.
So you can see we ended community services. So we'll start again with design review guidelines. This list is just alphabetic. And the first comment is regarding design review policy number 7, and it's comment number 26.
Okay, I'll respond to that one. We do have HOAs. I can think of 3 of them, actually 4 of them right offhand. Hutchinson Acres, Pioneer Valley, the new Walnut Canyon Walnut Creek Meadows.
Johnson Ranch.
And Johnson Ranch, thank you.
And I believe there's another one just to the north of me. It's the Doney Park, how shall I say, Slayton Ranch Estates.
Slayton Ranch Estates has one, Cosnino has one,
Pioneer Valley.
and
So we
think-
have
I
6
think
or
that's
7 HOAs, it sounds like.
And that's
Brian,
going to lead us
sorry.
on to the following comments, which need to be addressed in relation to that.
Yes, okay. So go ahead, Melissa.
sorry. My PDF viewer is fritzing out. What are you seeing right now on the screen? Are you still seeing the goal and policy comments?
There you are, you're back.
Okay,
Comments up again.
Yeah, these are the comments.
okay. I
the
was
one
trying
that
to
we-
show the policy and it went back to a small view.
That's okay.
I just wondered if anybody wanted to see the policy. It says building materials and colors that blend within are complementary to the natural environment.
Melissa and to Brian, could I would like to make a comment that leads into exactly that. The being there at the open house, when I wasn't answering questions that some people referred people to me to answer about the zoning code, people that would look at the board and they'd look at it and they'd read the first part of it. And the problem was they didn't read the last sentence. And the last sentence is one that said this applied to commercial. And they would start to ask me about it. And is this going to affect the color I paint my home, my barn, my garage, anything, landscaping, everything else? And the answer was, as soon as it was no, this applies to commercial property. And people would look at me and say, oh, I don't need to ask you any more about this. And I think that is a misperception that a number of the commenters had about this, that it affected residential properties, which is what most of Doney Park is. So, and all the questions I fielded while I was there were answered very simply by, no, it does not affect residential. This applies to commercial only.
Thank you, John. So concerning the first comment on design review number 7, we do not have HOAs. That seems to be misinformation on the part of the individual. And I don't see any need to change what DR7 says. What do other committee members have to say?
You've heard my opinion, no.
Liz Baldwin, no.
Rob, no.
No, Dave, no.
Any
Jim,
other
no.
committee members? Okay, Melissa, let's move on to the next comment, please. The next comment is DR General. Again, this sounds like a community-wide HOA. Looks like Phoenix mandates. I'm not sure where to go with that.
Well, again, I think this is a matter of misinterpretation and impatience in actually reading what it says. There is a statement in the area plan that tells you that this does not apply to residential property, that it is for commercial, industrial. And if you get to that point, you realize, oh, this isn't going to affect my property where I live. And if I live where there's an HOA, then that's up to the HOA. But this does not say anything about regulating HOAs. We really can't do that under state law.
Right. Okay. The next comment, this section oversight sounds like an HOA, doesn't seem necessary for a rural area.
And that's regarding DR1, back up to the top there,
That's correct.
where it talks about architectural style.
And that, you want to read that out loud, please, Melissa?
Architectural style should be consistent with the mountain town, rustic, frontier character. Modernistic, urban-oriented, or whimsical designs or buildings that show a lack of basic design or that appear to be modular and mass-produced with no relationship to the established character of the planning area should not be approved. Again, as John mentioned, this is in relation to commercial or industrial developments, not single family.
And one thing I would add to this, the design review does not cover things like home occupations or cottage industries.
I have a question. Can we just put commercial design review guidelines draft?
Yes.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to do it. And that was a thought that occurred to me after reading the comments, that we ought to have something just like that. And Evelyn's got the best way to do it, I think, right at the very beginning of it, so that people don't have to go through all of it down to the end of it to find out, oh, well, this doesn't apply to my my house, my barn, whatever.
So Evelyn is suggesting we put commercial in front of design on the title.
And
And I think that's an excellent idea, Evelyn.
I think just the commercial is good enough because I think most people recognize the fact that when you say commercial, that is also going to cover industrial and other commercial entities that are in the zoning code without detailing which ones.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Evelyn.
You bet. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Should we move on, Brian? That was number
Yes.
28.
Let's go to the next one, please.
Okay, we're still on number 28, and the next two are also in relation to DR1.
Okay.
And I believe this was a response to that first comment.
Yeah, in reading those, it again doesn't address the fact that this is specifically for commercial uses. We're talking about somebody building a house. It simply doesn't apply. And I'm getting ahead of myself, but the next comment, well, supposedly is not the case here. It definitely applies to commercial, not residential. And if you've got, I guess the other question is, and I'm getting ahead here with 28. I would also question, well, are we going to need to specify maybe a little more closely what it does and doesn't apply to in respect to something like a development that is a fourplex, which would be a commercial entity. And looks to me like the way the code is written, it probably would.
So John, am I hearing you correctly that maybe we need a preface under the title to say these design review guidelines only apply to commercial properties and not private properties?
I don't necessarily think you need to do that with it just by just adding commercial design review guidelines.
Yeah,
I think a good effort here is to keep it as simple as possible rather than start adding exclusionary wording. Just my opinion.
no, I get it. I was trying to interpret what you just said and I misunderstood you.
Well, the way I would look at the comment about where someone mentioned a fourplex would be to look at it and say, well, let's see, in my reading of the way the code is written, a fourplex would be a rental unit. It's commercial. So we have looked at motels, that sort of thing, remodeling, and they have been subject to design reviews. And what's the difference whether it's a fourplex or whether you've got a motel you're doing up there in Valley that has 55 rooms?
Yeah.
So,
And just to clarify, the design review guidelines as is written in zoning code applies to commercial, also industrial development
right.
and multifamily.
Okay, that answers the question. They do definitely, yeah. My reading is not incorrect then. And of course, that's an issue where it is addressed in the zoning code.
But not, yeah, not single families. So.
Right. You could say at the very beginning, the heading for the design review section could be commercial and industrial, if you wanted to say that.
Do you see the policy document when I flip it to the different tab?
Yeah, I can
Yes.
see that. Just
Okay,
fine.
so that's, so I'm just, you can see the note here. We'll add commercial and industrial to the title.
Do you need to add industrial? That's a question.
Yeah,
Well, that is what's covered in the zoning ordinance now. Any industrial development has to go through the design review guidelines.
Right.
okay. I'll go along with that, although I said commercial should be good enough, but that would be a good addition, I think.
Okay. Let's move on to comment number 29. The
And
comment
that's-
is, towers should not affect the neighborhood homeowner's quality of life. Changing the look and or view affects the neighborhood, which in turn affects the quality of life.
Okay, that's covered in the height regulations.
And
And
this is in
towers
relation
is-
to communication devices. So DR 22, towers and poles used for communication or other uses should not be sited in locations where they would block or detract from views of the peaks or any key natural features of the area.
And it is also covered very thoroughly in the zoning code.
Okay, I'm looking at this comment. It sounds like this comment is in agreement with the current policy.
Yes, it is, at least in my opinion.
I agree, yeah. I'm just,
Okay. Let's move on to comment number 30. It says, and that no roadside billboards are allowed, referencing to DR 22.
Okay, also covered in the county's ordinances. They've been banned for quite some time.
So,
Hey, John, while I recognize a number of these things are covered in the county ordinances, and they didn't used to be, which means at some point in the future that could be reversed. And I kind of hate to go there, but just because they're currently banned doesn't mean we shouldn't necessarily say we still don't want to see them in this document.
I kind of look at it as being a little bit redundant because a lot of the things that are addressed here, well, other than communications towers, the billboards, I'm trying to remember how far back that went. And I'm looking at it in light of what overall public opinion might be, but nevertheless, they're banned. If it's already covered in the zoning ordinance,
Yeah.
why add it?
If we tried
Okay.
to cover everything that's already addressed in zoning, this document would never end. So I retract my comment after further consideration.
John, oh, thank you.
go ahead.
John, this is Liz. Oh,
Oh, Liz, go ahead.
okay. John, for D22 though, when it says towers should not be affected, we're on comment 30. Could we go back to comment 30? I'm getting confused now. Because one of them, when you go to D22, what was it? Okay, let's go to comment 30. Oh, roadside billboards. Okay, so when you go to D22, it's saying it would not detract from the views of San Francisco peaks or any other key natural features. I thought we didn't want billboards, period. So this is just saying you can have a pole that has communications, which I guess is indicative to a billboard, but it says it can't not cited locations that would block or detract. I thought we didn't want billboards, period. Right? That's kind of general,
you-
or help
you
me
can't-
educate me here.
You can't have
That's what
them-
the comment is saying, is to add that no billboards be allowed.
Oh, okay,
right.
That's what
okay,
the comment
okay,
is saying.
thank you.
You really
Because I
don't need
missed
to
that,
do that.
okay.
And the comment, DR 22.
DR 22, okay,
Covers it
because,
pretty well. And I can see that would provide additional guidance for the Planning and Zoning Commission when the CUP for a cell tower comes up. And they get a pretty rough hearing when they come up, I can tell you that.
so you're saying this covers the billboard? Because it just, to me, it just, what did, somebody just said they're gonna add something to say billboards instead of just detract from a
No, you
view.
don't need, yeah, you really don't need to do that because we've had billboards banned in the county for quite a
That's, okay. Okay,
And I
okay.
can clarify that what the code says. It's a little bit nuanced. It says that there are no off-premise signs allowed.
Off premise, let me write that, okay, thank you.
Yeah, and that covers a lot more than billboards too, by the way.
Like what, John?
Okay, you have a property, let's see, out where the, if you go out I-40,
Okay,
Fernwood Valley, across from that, the retreat that was built out there recently. One of the pieces of property adjacent to that had a sign, a large sign on a pole that was placed on property that they didn't own.
okay,
And off premise covers something like that. And there used to be a lot of signs in the county. People would make an agreement with the property owner next door or further down the road to put their sign up there to get attention for whatever they had, the restaurant, gas station, you name it. And that is what this is also covering.
okay,
Off-premise signs, we're trying to, obviously, we want to get rid of as many of those as we possibly can.
okay. So the thing is, when you're saying poles or towers for communication, that's considered or inclusive of off-premise signs?
They certainly are treated in the same way.
Okay.
You have to look at them. Each
'Cause
one
you know,
is
like
an
when you-
individual.
Okay. Okay,
Well, a
because,
telecommunications tower is different than a sign. Telecommunication towers require conditional use permits, and this is guiding where they be sited.
At least we don't have federal law to contend with in terms of those off-premise signs like we do with communications facilities.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that we do not need to make any amendments or edits to
Yeah.
DR 22.
Shouldn't really be necessary.
okay, because it's
Okay,
under, and other
Let's-
uses, okay.
let's move on, please.
We're just discussing it, Brian.
I didn't hear that. I
I
don't know.
believe Judy, I believe Judy Begay is not muted.
Supervisor Begay, would you please mute yourself so we don't have background noise? Thank you. I'm looking at DR 14, comment number 31. Add something about retention of stormwater and prevention of erosion and transport of sediment off property. Increasing frequency of extreme rain events in our semi-arid climate will create increasing vulnerability to erosion.
And there's the policy, number 14.
I'll read it out loud. Development covered by these guidelines should be designed to fit the natural existing landforms as much as possible without resorting to radical grading, terracing, filling, or other alteration of the existing terrain.
And
Where cuts and fills are required, they should be landscaped or otherwise treated to blend the adjacent natural terrain to the greatest extent possible.
and this gets consideration at the Planning and Zoning Commission, not just in Doney Park, but countywide. You can ask Rob Wilson about that. He has had some experience with that, with the development of Timberline firearms. But he is not alone. That is really carefully considered when commercial development is done. Not a lot that can be done with residential, unless it is a planned residential development or subdivision. But it's certainly an appropriate thing to address in the area plan.
So how would that affect DR 14, the comment? How do we address that?
Right, this is Liz. I was very confused how that addressed it. I put a question like, is there another policy stronger?
You know, I think the way that is written actually covers what staff and what the planning commission look at in evaluating this kind of thing.
Okay, I'd like to get Jim Clifford's perspective on this.
You bet. I'd like to hear it too.
I agree with John. When we do the DROs, we look at all of this for runoff. We look at the 100-year flood plan. We look at all of that when we are looking at the plans, and we give the developers our guidelines as to how to resolve this. And we've had, and John will remember up in Greenhaven, where they have a rental facility. They came back and was asking for some extra things. Well, on their CUP in the design review, we found some discrepancies. So we added some verbiage in there to take care of the runoff, clean up the runoff, landscape or rock areas where it backed up to houses and things like that.
Yep.
So that we are looking at this, and so the way that it is written is fine in the goals and policies.
And
Thank you, Jim.
Brian, if I could add to that, our engineers are also looking at these development plans and commenting specifically on the drainage and grading documents. So that is a requirement in terms of the engineering design manual, that they do retention of stormwater to prevent erosion.
I'll back up what Melissa just said. Grading and drainage was a significant part of the permitting process, and that is addressed in detail in that process.
So what I'm hearing is that we do not need to make any edits to DR, what is it, 14?
Yes.
I think that's what you're hearing.
Okay. Let's move on, please.
On to 32.
Comment number 32. Does this include the engraved stone rock that an individual can have done for a fee? They are very attractive, and I've seen many around town. Can we go to DR 25?
And it's in relation to signs.
Signs should not be attached to or painted on natural objects such as trees or rocks existing on site.
Yeah, and the comment really didn't, it doesn't apply to that. As a matter of fact, as someone on the P&Z commission, and I'd be happy to see more commercial properties coming up with something exactly like this, because that would involve bringing in stone from off-site typically, I think. If it is utilizing rock formations that exist on the property, then you take a look at DR 25 again. We don't want people doing that. And that was, I think, put in there originally to prevent things like having a rock formation that was on your property and then painting a sign on it and utilizing that as a sign. You used to see a lot of that throughout the Western US.
Yeah.
Right, but I thought when I read this, I thought it was trying to say like some people put the name of their property or their number of their house on there.
But that's
Well,
not for single family. This is just for commercial.
Oh, that's right. I keep on thinking this commercial because the other one was, okay.
But if you do that, if you do create a sign using what the commenter is describing here, then the sign ordinance applies to that.
But sometimes those rocks are prettier than big fat signs.
Well, that's exactly what I was saying, that I wish more people would come forward and propose things like this.
So what do we do with
It would
this?
be more aesthetically pleasing in a lot of areas.
Right.
Can we go back to DR 25 there? Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you need to change that because there are some provisions in the zoning ordinance that address things like rock formations that are on a property when it is developed.
Hey, John, I wonder if we changed the location of existing there and put it in front of rocks or trees and rocks.
Hey, Bob,
Existing
that I
trees
think
and
is an excellent suggestion to do that, make it more explicit.
Yeah, and then that way, something like Hutchinson Acres that has that nice rock out front would be fine because that was something that was brought in after the fact.
Yep.
Yep.
Good suggestion.
Like that.
There you go.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, that makes it a great deal more explicit. Take some of the doubt out of what it means out of there. Very good.
Yes, I think it's excellent.
And just so you can see, we could review this document we could review the comments this way as well, because all the comments are listed right below the page. So it's up to you, whichever is easier.
I kind of like this format or that format where you can just go back and forth quickly and easily. I don't know.
Okay. All right. And the next comment was an emailed comment. And it was general about the design guidelines. Brian, would you like me to read it?
Yes, please.
The proposed mini casino on the 12 or so acres purchased by Navajo tribe causes concern first with the dark skies policy. Have you ever seen a casino that is not lighted to excess? Compliance with dark skies policy is a must if they build. And just to clarify again, we've talked about that. Currently, that property is under county jurisdiction because it is still owned in fee simple. If at some time it does become transferred into tribal trust land, then that's the point where the county does not have jurisdiction. But currently they would need to comply with all of our ordinances.
Right. This is Liz, and I wrote that down, jurisdiction ? And then I looked up all the ones that we had policies on lighting, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got like 6, CC 9, CC 10, DR 32, DR 33. So yeah, I guess it just depends on how that's going to pan out.
Yeah.
But this brings up, go ahead,
I'd like
John.
to comment on the lighting because I've been probably the biggest proponent of updating the lighting ordinance and the technology involved in it on the Planning and Zoning Commission over the last 7 or 8 years. Anyway, as long as the county has jurisdiction over that property, the upcoming changes that will be consistent with what the city does with their lighting code are going to be more restrictive on commercial property than they have been in the past, and will address some of the problems that we've had with LED lighting. So the amount of light that property, if it is under county jurisdiction, that will be allowed to utilize will be reduced considerably from what's in the code right now.
Okay. I was thinking of something a bit different, and I would like Jim and John to.
Brian,
Rose, Brian.
you paused.
He's just being very still.
That, that's a good still.
Well, he's one of the people we don't want paused this evening.
Especially when he's mid-thought, because we'd hate to continue on.
Yeah.
Oh, looks like he's going to re-log in here in a minute. So, Melissa,
Yeah, I certainly want to hear his comments relative to lighting because of my involvement with this.
I
He
haven't
says
seen
and
him
learns.
rejoin yet.
John, I'm telling you, I can't believe that comment came from your mouth, John. He of all people doesn't need to be paused. You don't want anybody to be paused, John, because you love everyone's comment.
Except me.
I just,
No.
Hey,
hey, Liz,
I have a comment while
Ah,
we're waiting.
John.
I just said that he is the last person I want to see pause this evening.
Right, that's what I'm saying, but you never want to see anybody pause,
I'm
John,
the
because you're so
first.
That is
open to
correct.
comment. Right.
I'm number one.
Yeah,
Hey,
we're
what
Joshua.
about, is there anything that we can put in this area plan that if the,
Hey, Bernice, if you
any
have a
plan-
comment, you really ought to reserve it till Brian gets back so that we're all here.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe this isn't a comment. If you could just let me know. Is there any way we can put it in the area plan? that if
Brian.
any land gets taken out of the county, that the local residents are notified? Or if there's any,
Could you rephrase that question again, please, Bernice? I
well,
didn't.
if there's any land taken out of the county and made federal or tribal or state, that the residents be notified? That the county be notified, number one, because it might bypass the county and go directly to the federal
Well,
or
Oh.
the state.
What do you say, John?
I know there is no requirement for that in state statute.
Right, but could we put it in our area plan?
No. Because we're going against state statute. We can't tell a person what they can and cannot do with their property.
I thought John
If-
just
if
said
it-
it's not a state statute.
Hi, everybody. Could I interrupt real quick? I've got Brian on speakerphone. His internet's dropped him and he doesn't have connection now.
Yep, we have
So-
that problem out here in DPF.
Right. And then, so Rob, Brian wanted you to take over chairing the committee and he'll try to stay on speakerphone. I have to get my, no, I think I have enough battery to leave him on speaker. So,
Okay, so Brian, if you can hear me, I hope. You were mid-thought about a different perspective on the lighting issue here. If you could share that with us, please.
Were you asking me to share my comment again?
Yes, sir.
Basically, the question is there a need for, and can we put into the Doney Park long-term plan that if land were to transfer from county land or commercial industrial land to tribal land, that the tribe would continue to follow the Doney Park long-term plan policies and the planning and zoning requirements?
I do not think that is a very good idea because of past history. I think it would be regarded as something, as an attempt to bring a tribal entity under control of the county.
And aren't they considered a sovereign nation? This is Liz, so they don't listen, they don't need to listen to our
And
rules.
yeah, when you put a statement in there like that, that exacerbates exactly what Liz was talking about, I think. I'd be loath to say anything about.
What I'm trying to get to is that the tribe would work with the county and maintain, what shall I say, the current standards under which the land had been operating previously.
Okay, so
I'll tell you how that worked with Two Guns. We had assurances that they were going to do as much as they could to adhere to the county's lighting ordinance. And just take a look at the billboard out there, the big LED billboard.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Yeah.
If I could interrupt, I do think that there is a policy possibly in land use that does speak to that potential future issue.
Okay.
And I'm
Let's
not,
consider that.
But not on tribal
Let's
land.
consider that next
Melissa.
week.
Brian,
Okay.
that's a really great idea. And I think the health codes ought to be in there also. The health and safety codes.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
it sounds to me like we would all like to see all that happen, but I believe that we may be exceeding the scope of the authority of this document. Trying to impose health and safety codes and other codes on a sovereign nation are certainly outside the scope of this document. On the other hand, making a statement in the document asking for coordination with and communication with, and Brian, while you were off, Bernice, and I'm not sure if you got back on quick enough, but Bernice had suggested adding something that would require notification of the area plan constituents should a transfer of land outside the county control occur. Is that correct, Bernice? A good summary?
Yes.
And just real quick, I think that belongs under the land use end of the document,
Okay.
not the design review.
Okay. So Melissa, maybe we could put that on our, what did we call it? Our wait list or our watch list or our, but yeah, add a policy to land use that that notifies that I think is both Brian and your thoughts there, correct, Bernice? Okay, and Brian, you can't see the typing right now, but she's adding, what she put is add a policy to land use about working with and notifying the community if transfer of, well, I don't think we should say Horseman's Lodge. I think of any property outside of county zoning authority.
I think
Okay,
Brian's back with us.
Yeah, we need to do it before the transfer though, whenever it becomes an issue or an application.
Of any pending?
A
Could we use pending?
Yes.
Pending transfer beyond or out of community or county jurisdiction.
Yeah.
is
Or
how you
pending
say it.
consideration.
So that would be federal land, state land, tribal land, doesn't matter.
It would be,
Right.
that would cover everything
Yeah.
out of county jurisdiction.
Yep. I like that comment. And Brian, are you back with us? on
Yes,
Zoom?
it
Yes.
should be.
Yes, I am.
will
I don't know what happened.
I'm gonna punt right back to you. You got it, buddy.
Oh, thank you, Rob.
Melissa, could you go down to the very bottom where it shows the comment again, please?
Yes, hang on a second. I'm just saving this. So the comment was an email comment, Evelyn, and it's right here. It's this one where it says general comment.
Okay, and then you said at the bottom of the page, the comments would be there?
not the email comment. These were the ones that were just entered into the digital open house. So you can see on the next page, for instance, comment number 32 was posted by Diane Jacks.
Yeah, so if you could go ahead when we're looking at one,
Mhm.
show both, please.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. So we still really haven't addressed that specific comment about lighting. We have kind of created a new policy or idea there. How do we want to address the lighting? Oops, I'm sorry, Brian, you're back in charge. I'll shut
Well,
up.
I'm not sure where you are, so go ahead and finish the lighting, Rob.
Okay. So we have not addressed the email comment here.
That is, I think, in the context of it, lighting at a casino that is on trust land
is out of our jurisdiction and control.
We can't address that here.
Could we make a statement that said any land transferred outside county jurisdiction would be encouraged to comply with existing lighting ordinances, something like that? Or is that just poking in the eye?
I'll have to say that in my opinion, yes, a statement like that would be appropriate because this is the kind of thing that has been asked for in the past by the county.
Okay.
Doesn't mean we'll get it, but nevertheless, always good to bring up.
At least we've got something that says that.
Yeah, I think it's quite appropriate that.
Anybody on the committee opposed to adding a statement that requests any transferred land outside county jurisdiction to encouraging that land to comply with the county lighting ordinances?
I think that's a good idea because it lets people see that we're at least trying.
Yeah.
Do we want to limit it to lighting ordinances? Do we want to also include
Well, we're only doing that lighting here because we're in the lighting section.
Okay. I'm thinking broader scale if it needs.
And it may be appropriate in many other places here, so.
That would be appropriate in the land use section.
Right.
Think that.
Melissa, can you go down to the bottom of what's our last DR in lighting, is it? Okay, stop right there. Underneath 33, write your comments, put your comments down there, because the comments that are being made are not specific to a DR, they're going to be additions.
Good point, Jim.
The way I would read this here is this is an addition to 27 or 28, and your next one is in addition to 28 or 29. So I think if you were to move those down to the bottom, because those are just general comments.
I'm going to make my screen a little bit smaller so I can do that.
There'll be new DRs.
Correct. New DRs. One is going to be in lighting and one will be in land use, but they're going to be in the same area.
Right. And I am just, my computer is definitely giving me a little bit of issues tonight.
Melissa, is it possible for you to come back and move those later?
Yes, I will do that later.
Yeah.
It is now 20 minutes till 8.
Yes.
And
I will
we
fix
still have,
this later. Yeah.
we still have to have closing comments, both
Right.
from community and committee. Can we finish? Do we have time to finish the design review overlay?
You only have, that was your last comment on design review.
Oh,
The email comment was the last one on design review before getting into land use, just if you see that table.
Love it when a plan comes together.
yes. So I propose that we move to our next segment and we start with land use at our next meeting.
I agree.
Thank you, Rob. Hearing no one object, I think the next part is public comment.
I can go back to the presentation, Brian, if you like.
Yes, please.
I just wanted to show this slide to show that we have now completed design review guidelines, and these are the sections that are left to go over. And then to talk about the schedule briefly. And I did want to mention that we gave an update to the Board of Supervisors in a work session about several projects, including this one. And I think they're very encouraging and very supportive of your work, and they're looking forward to seeing this draft plan come forward, hopefully in the spring. And then here we go with the next meeting. This is for you, Brian, to start discussing when your next meeting would be, and then we'll go into the final comments.
Okay, well, we've moved our normal meeting. It was to have been on Veterans Day because it was a holiday recognizing our service members. We moved it up to the 4th. I will ask if anyone has an appetite for a meeting on the 18th of November. Otherwise, the 9th would be the next meeting.
Yum, yum, the 18th.
Is that Evelyn?
Yeah, am I in trouble?
No.
You said an appetite. You said an appetite, so I'm going, yum, yum.
18th works for me.
Works for me too.
Works for me.
Anyone that could not make the November 18th. And what I'm trying to do is to keep us on track so that we're not going into 2023.
I'd like more time and do it on the 9th.
Okay.
Brian, I will be out of town and out of legal communication, so you would be chairing that meeting.
That's fine with me.
I would not be able to attend.
Okay. Any other comments?
Yeah, I'd like to make one that having a meeting on the 18th, I think would be a good idea because we're going to be considerably beyond the original schedule for this. And the other thing is, I think we all have to recognize that we are not the only area plan that is being considered for updating. There are others that are every bit as old, if not older. And Melissa has to work on those also. I think it's my standpoint, my point of view, it is selfish to look at it and say, drag this out as much as we can.
I agree with you. Bernice, this is, if we do it on the 18th, we would be scheduled to address land use. And you were wanting more time. Would it be appropriate to begin with the next section and then come back to land use on December 9th? Would that give you enough time?
That sounds good, thanks.
Okay, so anyone other than Rob not able to make the meeting on December 18th?
Can you hear me? Because I'm coming in on phone.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm going to be out of town on the 18th, so hopefully there's going to be a forum. I moved my trip from this week to next week because I didn't think we'd have another one. So I mean the 18th, so I won't be able to attend.
Is that Liz?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Because it has your phone number, but not your name.
Oh yeah, sorry. My internet just dropped, so.
Mine did too.
Yeah.
So let's have one on the Thursday, November 18th. And we will begin with the the category that is next after land use, and then we will start the December 9th meeting with land use.
We'd be starting
What
with
is,
natural environment.
Okay,
Good. I just don't, perfect. Thank you. I just didn't want to make it be transportation because I did that one. So I wanted to definitely be in there. Perfect. Okay. That's Liz.
I'm sorry, but I didn't hear. What is the next category?
natural environment. That
Great.
would be the one that we would do on the 18th.
18th.
Okay, thank you.
How big is natural environment? How many comments do we have on that? And how many do we have on public safety?
I'd have to flip over to the other documents and look at those.
The other thing I
pages?
would comment is that Rob he was one of the key people on public safety.
Yeah, I was going to suggest if possible that we move public safety more towards the end, because that would then coincide with our desire to have the summit fire conversations associated with that.
That's a good idea.
I'm looking at the topics. A natural environment has a lot of comments. I'm looking at it right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Melissa, Melissa,
24.
Melissa, could you go to natural environment and look to see the comments? How
Yes.
many and who wrote them?
Hang on one second. Let me go there.
If we redacted Ben, then we have less comments.
Good point.
Let me go back and share that. Can you see this? Natural environment starts here.
Yeah, but go to the goals and policies, that tab.
Yeah.
Because doesn't
hang
that
on.
have them at the bottom?
It does. Hang on one second. Let me get down there.
Stop. Go, wait. Go back up to the very beginning of them. Is
Yeah,
that-
we're on land use. This is still the land use.
Okay, that's still land
Sorry.
use. Okay, that's probably
Yep.
where most of them are gonna be.
That's why I'm going kind of fast to get to the
Okay,
ends.
okay.
Land use is a long section.
Yeah, it is.
That-
Okay,
Okay, you just.
there we go. There we go. Natural environment. So,
Okay. So okay, there we have it. 1, 2, 3,
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14,
4,
15,
5,
16.
6, 7,
We have about 26. 26.
8,
Okay.
9, 10.
it was 10.
Okay, so out of how many?
24, so that would be 14.
Okay, so then we only have 14 comments for land use then.
That's
Okay,
For natural environment.
natural environment, yeah.
okay.
And so then can I propose, since I think next public safety you don't want to do, can we do sustainability and reliance so that we don't do transportation?
I'm good with that.
What timing are you proposing for that, Liz? What date?
Anytime except not the 18th because I'm not going to be here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we would not do
I'm not-
transportation on the 18th.
Okay, beautiful. Okay.
Can you see the screen where I went out of
Yes.
present mode?
Yeah.
And I'm just putting in the dates. So what I'm hearing then, we'll do natural environment, open space, parks, trails and recreation. Start that on November 18th in 2 weeks from tonight. And then land use on December 9th. That's the first, or rather the second Thursday in December.
Also,
But Melissa, I would raise my hand, Melissa, but I can't because I can't go by phone. I just wanted to say, and if we run through if you guys run through natural environment, then you go to sustainability and resilience versus transportation. I just want to make sure I'm there for that. See what I'm saying?
When
If
do you
you run
come back,
through-
Liz? What is your trip date?
It's the 16th to like the 21st. That's what I'm saying. I'm not going to be here for that meeting on the 18th. And so if you went through natural environment and you keep on going, could you go to sustainability and resilience? Because
Okay.
no one wants to do public safety because Rob's doing it. And I would not like to do transportation because I'm not going to be there. So Rob and I are not going to be there. So we're both
Okay.
saying, does that make sense?
Yep.
It does.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, also, Melissa, I was just wondering on the tabs where you have the 3 tabs on top where you show us the goals and policies and then the
Uh-huh.
underneath. Is it possible to put on that other tab that just has the comments, like put some sort of mark or something, or even put the name Ben so that we don't even bother with that one?
Yeah, I can note the numbers.
Okay, okay.
Next, I can add a column if you want. Next.
Yeah, just
to
so we're
the
not
other
wasting
document.
time going through them and reading them.
Right.
When
Mhm.
it turns out to be Ben.
Thank you, Evelyn.
You're welcome.
And one more point, Melissa, and I'll ask the group too. Under land use and next to natural environment, I don't know if you're going to include this, there's many multimodal trails and transit, which we include in our transportation, but it's under general comment. Make sure you don't jump into that if you could, please, if you're going into natural environment, because it's right above that. I don't know if you have it, but I have it, the written part right in my hand. And so there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 that might be thought of jumping into because it's next to natural environment, but it's really transportation because I've already reviewed them and they're all transportation questions. That makes sense? So don't do that, even though they're right next to natural environment and they really don't have a category because they're general comments. Does that make sense,
I think so. Let's go.
Melissa?
Should we look at that real quick?
Sure. I can't see the computer. I'm just looking
Right.
on the paper because I have, yeah, beautiful.
So they were at the end of the natural environment section.
No, they're at the
Yes.
very beginning of natural environment.
At the
and end of
beginning.
Land use. Yes.
Okay.
ma'am. Mhm.
Okay, so I see what you're saying. There were a lot of comments written on the multimodal trails and transit map.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
So wait for you on those.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. If we could, I mean, if they vote against me, that you can attack it, but.
Yeah, well, that
include it.
map was associated with transportation.
Okay, I know.
Yeah, okay,
I don't
thank
know
you
why
for
it got
pointing that
put
out.
in there. I don't know why it got put in there, but it did, but I just wanted to call that out so it doesn't get addressed. So thank you.
All right. What is our next process, Melissa?
To go back to the presentation and we can conclude then. Let me
Yeah.
go down to, you just decided on your next meetings. And that's not what I want. I want this. And then the next slide is public comment, committee, final thoughts, and then conclude.
Okay. So I'll open the floor for comments from community members. You will have 3 minutes. Are there any community members who would like to share with us this evening?
Yes, this is Russell Weedman. Can you hear me?
Yes, Russell, please go ahead.
Yeah, I made some comments and I had emailed them to Melissa and I mentioned the last comment period at the end of the meeting. And one of them was on CC6 and I thought that you would just touch on that tonight, and it was concerning the language used in the policy section on engine braking. And you didn't get to it tonight, so I don't know if any of the comments I made 6 of them, but this one was concerning the language, so I thought I'd bring that up. And then I just wanted to thank Bernice for standing up for the community. And, you know, I know that I talked to her at the open house, and I'm sure that, you know, some of those comments that were removed, you know, would have been comments I might have made to her. And if the comments, it really didn't matter how many there were, if they were similar and they reflected the results of the survey, then what's the big deal? It doesn't really matter. You can talk about them. You know, I don't know everything that went on. You know, it seemed like more was made out of it than really needed to be. So you know, and then I have personally a lot of friends that filled out the survey, but did not go to the open house. They haven't sent in any comments because they really feel like they're not going to be listened to anyway. And, you know, I'm sure that their reaction to a lot of it would have been in those comments. So, you know, I would say you could take at least 10 or 15 of those comments that Bernice made and put my name on them. I'd be perfectly okay with that. And if I could actually read them all, there may be more than that I would have made. And when I was making my own comments, you know, I didn't make any at the open house, and then I didn't have very long to do it online. And I think I did it the last day. I sent that email to Melissa with 6 comments on it. So there wasn't a long time period there, and I was busy, and it takes time to go through all the goals and policies and then make a comment and write it down. And, you know, I did a few of them and I got that done, but, you know, it took time, and there wasn't a lot of time there to get that done. And, you know,
Okay.
that's my comment for tonight. I probably took 3 minutes, so thank you.
You were
for
right
all-
on it, Mr. Weedman. So I would encourage you, if you have other friends that did not make comments, they still can.
I tried to talk to them.
Well, let me.
Old timers, been out here for 45, 50 years.
Okay, let me make a suggestion, if you will, Russell.
Yes.
Have them email them, and we'll work as best possible to get to them.
One of them even have a computer and refuses to do email.
Okay.
You know, it's
well,
they took the survey. They answered all the questions in it. That's how important that survey is.
Well, we are looking at that survey, and appreciate your comments tonight. Thank you.
Brian, if I could just clarify something, and Russell,
Sure.
the committee does have your email comments. It came in too late to add it to the tables we've been reviewing. So those are going to be reviewed, but we're just kind of taking it all in order.
Okay. All right.
We'll have to go back to the section that you addressed, but yeah, the committee's got your comments, and like I said, it was too late. They had already received the document that was prepared. It was too late to add your comments to that.
Okay, well, thank you.
Okay. Are there other committee members who would like to share?
I see Sheila Walsh raised her hand,
We're doing
Brian.
public comment.
Right.
Yes, public comments. Go ahead, Sheila.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sheila. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I am in complete admiration of the hard work that all of you are doing and making the tough decisions. I was at the open house with a handful of my horse buddies, including one Marine who spoke extensively to Brian, but I can guarantee you he did not get on a computer and answer the link for public comments. So it's, you know, there's probably, I wouldn't know how many people out here that didn't get into that window of time to make comments, but I can't think of anything that person wanted that was any different than we the majority of us have asked for, and including keeping it rural. And I'm sure he complained about the speeding on his road, but that's everywhere. Just I appreciate all the hard work, and I sure get my house clean listening to you guys.
Well, thank you, Sheila. Any other comments from the community members? Hearing no other comments, let's move to the committee members.
Brian, if I could.
Yes.
I would like to state once again how much I've appreciated working on this committee with each and every one of the committee members. I believe that the work we're doing is extremely valuable. I believe it's difficult, and I believe that it is going very well. And I wanted to just thank everyone for all their hard work.
Thank you, Rob. Other committee members. Unmute yourself and share with us.
Well, as was just stated by Mr. Weedman, a lot of people made comments at the open house, did not write them down on a piece of paper and put them on our sheets, then did not do the survey because for one reason or another they didn't want to, or they do not have a computer. We go back to the same thing that happened with Bernice, and this is actually for Russell or anybody. If you want to write that person's comment down, this is a comment for John Smith, written by Russell Weedman on my computer because he does not have one. And that way we actually know who that came from. So Bernice, it's not a witch hunt. Halloween's over. We've already done all that. So I still appreciate with what you do. Land use is a big thing in Doney Park right now. And I was at the land use map and policies when at the open house, and I had a lot of comments. Some of them were written down, and a lot of them were emailed in on the site. So I do appreciate what you do for us. And unfortunately, like I said, if it was in a different format, I could have accepted them, but in the format it was, I could not. So that's all I have to say. I think we're coming back on track, and hopefully we'll have this done soon so we can go to our final open house and then bring it to planning and zoning and then on to the supervisors.
Thank you. In the chat, Melissa just put an address that you can mail comments to. So both community and committee members, if you had comments, you can send them to that address. Please sign it as to who the author of the comments are. Other committee members, comments? Dave Browning, no. Okay, I want to share my appreciation also for everyone on the committee. Yes, we bump into hard issues, and I think we have worked with them very well. I appreciate everyone's comments in that this is what provides the diversity. And so we're getting close on getting through this first draft of our document, and then I think we're scheduled to have another open house sometime in the new year. So with that, Melissa, do you have any other comments?
No, just thank you for hanging in with the meeting tonight.
All righty. With that, we will close our meeting for this evening, and don't forget to have your pizza before the dog eats the stale pieces once again. Okay, good night, folks.
Good night.
Good night and thank you, everyone.
Night, everyone.
Good night. So if Ken Lorton and Russell, if you could close yourself out, please. Thank you. Ken Lorton.
Melissa has all the power.
Well,
She does.
Ken, if you could hear us, we're going to go ahead and close the meeting to other participants. So thanks for joining us.
And we're stopping recording.
Yes, hang on. Okay. Let me do that.